This is Raja here. As most of you know, this is the very last session of the MRSI series under the MRB Interchange Knowledge Hour initiative. I am happy that we could cover a very wide range of topics. The topics actually range from new ways of segmentation. It covered forecasting, applying design to food innovation, emotion to eating, pricing research, and even today we will have something about how to get more information with shorter questionnaires, and a number of digital topics, including the one to be presented today. Now, we also had a paper, if you remember, the very first session, a paper from Pallavi, which won the ESOMAR Young Researcher Award. So we actually covered a very wide range of papers across the 6 sessions we have had so far. I am sure that the 200 plus people who have been logging in from various locations in India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, UAE and other countries must have benefited a lot. We have the pleasure of introducing you all to Himali Madrasinghe. She is heading LMRB in Sri Lanka. Himali holds bachelor's degree in business administration from University of Ottawa, Canada, and she also holds another bachelor's degree in law from Sri Lanka. She has 25 years of experience, of which 17 years have been in marketing research. She is a country representative for ESOMAR in Sri Lanka, and she is also the founder secretary of the Market Research Society of Sri Lanka. Before I hand over to Himali, let me give a small information. Basically to inform you that the current MRSI seminar series is actually being extended by one more session that will be held on the 30th April. Now, this will be an interesting session. The session will feature the paper that won the Global Mondelez Business Insights Awards of 2014, and this paper is titled Passing the Buck, and this will be from IMRB World Panel in the next session. Now, let me not take any more time, and let me hand over to Himali. Himali, over to you.
Thank you, Raja. The knowledge sessions have been extremely useful to us, providing a window to new techniques and their practical applications. So it's sad to see it coming to an end, but we do hope it will start again, Raja, soon. So just to give a short introduction to the first paper, creating a single currency benchmarking matrix to gauge brand performance on social media. This was presented by Mihir Thakare from Media and Retail Group Mumbai at the MRS 2014. However, today the paper will be presented by Jordan Martin from MRS team in Mumbai, who was also involved with the paper along with Mahir and Pushka Sadarvi. To give a brief overview to the paper, for a few years now, the need to maintain brand presence on social media platforms has attracted a large polarity of contradictory views among the marketers. This is primarily due to the inability to link marketing spends on social media platforms to ROI or sales. In January 2014, the previously mentioned MRG team in Mumbai were approached by a client who operates in the consumer electronics space. The client asked them to identify and report a matrix that will not only benchmark their brand standing in the social media horizon, but also showcase direct ROI and cues to improve brand and product-related sentiments. Through the paper, the authors showcased the development process of a single currency social media benchmarking matrix that directly correlates to sales of an organization. To give a brief introduction to our presenter, Jordan Martin is an arts graduate in sociology and anthropology from the famous St. Xavier's College in Mumbai. He works with the digital media team in Mumbai. Jordan is deeply passionate about all things tech, and this is what brought him into the world of digital research. He is driven by the need to understand people and society, and his particular combination of passions is what makes him think and work in social media analytics and on how data can be used to understand people. Jordan plays the piano and is a student of music. He has cleared the jazz grade 1 test recently, actually, and very avid gamer, a gizmo and a gadget freak. Over to you, Jordan.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of IMRD and everyone sitting here, as well as senior management and everyone who set this up for giving us the opportunity to present the paper. And I'd also like to thank my fellow authors, Pushkar and Mihir, for their guidance and encouragement with regards to this paper. As well as outside of that, they've been great colleagues and even greater mentors in all respects. So let's get started. So we believe that social media, a social media presence, could be equal to a positive ROI. What do you think? Would you agree or disagree with the statement? So just to understand what we're dealing with, let's talk about ROI. Now I know that most of you, or everyone, at least most of you listening on the call, would know a lot about ROI and will probably teach me a thing or two. But for those who don't know about it, let me clarify when I say we are going to talk about ROI. What I mean is, we're going to talk about social ROI. Social ROI is the return on investment that advertisers make for being present on social media. Now the question is, who wants to know social ROI? It's something that every CEO wants to know and something that every CMO wants to know. So the question is, how is ROI on social media measured? Now this is the crux of the whole. I'm sorry?
We are unable to see the presentation. Mrs. Karathi.
Sorry, who was that again?
Mrs. Karathi, Fizza here. We are unable to see the presentation.
Okay, we would request you to log out once and then reconnect.
Okay.
Jordan, you can go on.
Okay, so the crux of this paper is, how is social ROI measured? So to understand this, we're going to give you a little background about the social media landscape. There are three major components of the social media landscape: paid media, owned media, and earned media. So let's discuss these in detail. So paid media, So paid media basically refers to your ads and sponsored posts on social media sites. These would generally be controlled by the brand or the entity itself. Owned media would refer to brand pages or Twitter handles via which the brand engages with users and vice versa. Earned media, however, refers to user-initiated conversations that take place outside of paid and owned media. Paid media generally is used to spread brand awareness and engage prospective customers, while owned media is generally for those who are already aware about the brand. They would go and interact with the brand via their own entities like their pages and Twitter handles. Whereas earned media would generally be advocates of a brand, people who discuss the brand outside of the other two forms of media. So let's try to understand the gap that exists today. Now, for example, take a look at this post. In this case, we are referring to owned media where Tesco has posted some kind of content about some offer that most of its users and people who are aware about the brand can see. However, this same post could also act as paid media if they were to promote it on social media via sponsored posts or ads. Now, the important thing to know is that if you take a look at the example, there's a highlighted link. Right now, there exist ways of measuring or tracking this link that would help you understand and measure leads and other brand metrics, which in turn could be used to derive your ROI via sales. So these metrics are measurable at this point in time, and this is something that brands do. However, when we look at the third component, which is earned media, you have a user who is posting about a particular brand and a product, and is not posting it on earned media, but is referring to the brand. In this case, the brand does not possess any method to measure the sales or the ROI that comes from it. So the question is, how do we find this missing link and connect it to ROI? So about our research. In January of 2014, a client approached us with a problem. The client was a multinational firm operating in the consumer electronics space. The question was, how do we measure our brand's perception for mobile phones in the social media space? Added to that, is there a performance gauge that can directly reflect sales performance? Our objective was to derive a social media metric that could directly correlate to sales. So our construct, we needed to coin a new metric that enjoyed a direct relationship with sales. Now we realized that there were several independent variables that could impact a brand sales. Amongst them, we shortlisted consumer loyalty or advocacy. There is adequate evidence that suggests consumer loyalty enjoys a direct correlation to sales, and this was proved by a gaming company. So the question is, how did we go about deriving this metric? We adopted a 6-phase methodology. After the initial phase of secondary research and keyword research, we extracted data from social media sites, blogs, forums, etc. This data was then passed through our dimensions classifier engine and our sentiment analysis algorithm. Once this was done, we were able to derive the social score. So let's talk about these steps in detail. Secondary research. So it is actually essential to do secondary research because it is critical to understand the industry, the brands and the competitors involved, as well as the products. It's also important to understand the lingo and terms that are commonly associated with the industry in the social media space. Post the secondary research, using our newly found knowledge of the industry, we compile a list of keywords and configure them into our data extraction tool. This step is important because we need to ensure that we capture all relevant data and minimal garbage. By inputting our keywords into the data extraction tool, we began extracting data. We extracted over 500,000 conversations. Sorry, I happened to skip a slide. So the third step was the data extraction phase. We extracted data for 6 months, amounting to a total volume of about 500,000 conversations. The fourth stage that we went into was we passed the data through our dimensions classifier engine. The engine sifted through the extracted conversations and pinpointed various themes, aspects and features with regards to the brand or products. For example, with regards to mobile phones, the engine was able to tag conversations about price, build quality, camera, battery life, and many other features. After this, we ran the data through our sentiment analysis algorithm and analyzed extracted conversations and applied a sentiment polarity score. Our sentiment analysis algorithm also takes care of contextual elements, sarcasm, and symbolic elements as well. We also have a English lexicon dictionary So basically, there are a lot of English words that are commonly used on social media in India that have positive or negative sentiment. So a lot of these are also considered and are taken into consideration when we perform sentiment analysis. So through this, we actually arrived at a sentiment polarity score. And finally, through the sentiment polarity score, we recalibrated the scores to an 11-point scale and was successfully able to identify brand promoters, switchers, and detractors. So this is how we arrived at a social score. Now let's look at a more detailed description of what we went about, or what we did when we derived a social score. So initially, if you take a look at the slide, we had consumers who had varying sentiment polarity. It could have been anywhere between extremely positive to extremely negative. It could have been -100 or -50 or -20 or anything ranging in the positives as well. So the challenge was to realign these scores onto an 11-point scale, basis which we classified individuals and consumers as brand detractors, switchers, and promoters. We then did random diagnostic verification of the recalibrated data based on scores and actual behavior with respect to brand advocacy. We redefined the scale if required. Post this, we subtracted the percentage of detractors from the percentage of promoters to arrive at our social score. Our research findings. As you can see, here's an example of two brands, and you can see brand B actually possesses a negative score in quarter 4 of 2013. We tracked this to be the result of a product that the brand had launched that stirred up an international controversy about the brand. It led to a drastic increase in the amount of brand detractors for that quarter and caused a negative score. Now we'll talk about promoters, detractors, and switchers. As you can see, all three kinds of consumers of brand D have decreased across quarters, but switchers have significant number of influencers compared to the other two, which implies that there is immense potential to convert these to promoters. We also looked at brand influencers. Influencers are those people who have huge amount of followers and have the capability to influence the public through their opinions. Now this was critical because identifying these allowed brands to possibly convert switchers or even detractors into brand advocates and brand loyalists. Yes, so moving on, we also were able, through our dimensions classifier engine, to tag various product features and provide the relevant sentiment for each of those. This helps the brand understand pain points as well as benefits or plus points of each of their product features as seen through the eyes of consumers on social media. Validation of the metric. We looked at brand Z, which witnessed a dip in social score in June as compared to February 2014. At the same time, it was also evident that there was a dip in sales of brand Z in June when compared to that of February 2014, as was suggested by the social score. Accuracy. A unique algorithm is capable of decoding complex unstructured opinions into measurable scores. Our NLP algorithms achieve a minimum of 85% accuracy with regards to sentiment scores, while the general sentiment algorithms, which are available otherwise, achieve only 75% accuracy. Wider acceptance. Owing to its simplicity and alignment with the widely accepted NPS scores, social score can be used by any brand and seamlessly align with existing processes. Social score, owing to its strong resemblance to NPS, can further be integrated into the existing NPS tracks and provide an integrated view of both your offline and online mix. The limitations. Social score usually tends to work better within industries that experience relatively higher number of conversations, like 20,000 and above. When dealing with different industries, the lexicons need to be recalibrated to capture contextual elements accurately. For example, while looking at, say, the television industry, you have a product category of Ultra HD TVs. A word like Ultra could possibly be considered positive in most dictionaries, which is why with every industry that we study, we have to, the lexicon dictionary adapts with it so as to avoid the skew caused by each industry or relevant keywords. Further direction. Using ANOVA to test the moderating effect of social score variables, understanding the statistical impact of social score on sales, and consequently developing predictive algorithms to predict the movement of sales depending on the change in social score. This is something that we're looking at developing. Added to that, we are also looking at integrating social score with the offline NPS tracks. So several brands refer to NPS score to trace their brand loyalty and advocacy. The social score, being a strong resemblance of NPS, is something that would help merge the online and offline worlds. So that's our presentation on social media ROI. Thank you. And I hope I've been able to explain it in as simple a language as possible. If you have any questions at all, we're here to answer.
Yeah. Thank you, Jordan, for that very interesting presentation on this topical subject, I would say. I would now open the floor for any questions.
This is Raja here.
Go ahead.
I thought I will, basically you are trying to say keep sales as the dependent variable in this, and then you are trying to correlate, let's say, the net promoter score as the dependent variable in this. My question is to try to, let's say, link it to other variables rather than looking at only NPS scores from the social media. Like for example, I don't know how many of target segments who are buying, let's say, mobile phones are really getting into social media to begin with. There are older people who are not into social media, and then they will still be buying, say, mobile phones of various brands. So how will this social media net or explain the variation in the sales, particularly among the older generation? Or by and large, did you also, other question, as I said in the beginning, by other variables which are dependent variables, and then try and then see how much a variation explains. Over to you.
Raja, are you done with the question?
Yeah, I said over to you.
Okay. Because there is a lot of echo, so I'll attempt to answer your question to the best of my understanding. So the construct here, Raja, is that from a future directions perspective, we wanted to look at how we can put the social ROI for a social score that we are calling it, and get it to correlate to the sales. The reason we went for the consumer advocacy as a score was because it was something that honestly was something that we saw as a possibility, because the question that was posed to us from the client side was to come up with a metric that would help them benchmark themselves against their competition A, and second thing is to have a metric that correlates to the sales. The only thing that we could think of, and we had deliberate internal discussions about it, was to come up with this advocacy scores. Because advocacy has direct correlation to sales, we thought that this would be a good metric to go about and explore. From the prediction perspective and from a further directions perspective, we wanted to look at, and we haven't done that yet, is to look at, from the paper we know that what is the impact on the brand, but we don't know what is the impact on the balance sheet. So that's what we want to do further, and we wanted to look at it from a statistical perspective and build some kind of a normative database which can be referred to for predictions.
What about categories where the bulk of your TV is not, say, active on the social space and they can be contributing to sales? So this is not...
Yeah. So, answering your second question, Raja, you are right. For the TG that is not available here on social media, I would say essentially TG that is not online, this cannot be probably applied to. And as Jordan rightfully said, that this cannot even apply for categories that have got less than 20,000 opinions.
Yeah, that's okay. I guess we can discuss this offline later, because there are variables like price up and price down, etc. will also have your impact on sales. There are a number of other things. But I think this is a good start. I think it is one of the key variables. I am very happy to see that about 75 to 80% of the variations have been explained by this single variable itself.
So this could probably be one of the metrics to the one of the variables to the prediction.
We are also...
Hi, I just wanted to know about the data.
Raja, I think the line got disconnected from LMRB. The question was coming from LMRB. We can check for any other questions.
Yeah, this is Mani from Bangalore. I had a question. I just wanted to understand about the data extraction. When you're extracting conversations, will it also be from various e-commerce sites or product review sites and all of it? And will it also include critics' reviews and all of it?
Hi, Mani. So, Mani, this is possible to do. In the current study, we haven't done it. We've restricted it to Twitter, Facebook. We've extracted data from certain sites and blogs. So, in the past, after we presented this paper, we've pulled up some proposals wherein some clients needed to extract this data from specific sites. So that can be done, and it can be part of this algorithm, but it's not a default part that we do.
Okay, great. I just wanted to add one more question. When you say a mobile brand, it would mean a particular sub-brand, a particular brand within Samsung, or sub-brand, or it means Samsung as a whole? I mean, if I have to use Samsung as an example.
We can break this thing at different levels. Okay, there is a lot of echo. Mani, to answer your question, we can break this down at different levels. So we can do it at an organization level, a brand level, or a product level. But that is dependent on how much data we have.
All right. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Anne and I'm from LMRB. Just a quick question on the lexicons that you have mentioned. Say, for example, if you assign a score of 0.2 for a word like good, if you get a word called extremely good, how much is there differences in the points that are being allocated, or how does that vary? Is there a combination of words that you're looking at before assigning the scores, or how does the point allocation work?
So it works both the ways. Our default algorithm takes it up at the words level, but then our dimensions classifier engine is being programmed to look at it from a contextual level too. So for example, if I say, if we have a mention for a brand mentioning, Samsung is good, but Apple is better. So, are you with me? Okay, I'll go anyway.
Yeah.
So if I have an opinion on social media saying that Samsung is good but Apple is better, so our algorithm will be capable of giving a different score to Apple and a different score to Samsung with respect to the context. So something like extremely good is easy to crack because it gets cracked at the first level itself.
Okay, thank you.